when I hear Dolly's 9 to 5, I identify with it because all of us know what it's like to be on the job every day. I want to write those kinds of stories that like someone can hear, and we can be on opposite ends of the country and we still get it.
Welcome back to Stay Independent, a space for independent artists to find tangible and actionable ways to grow their career. Today we're doing another episode of Artist Content Coaching. Day to day I have the privilege of helping artists create content strategy. So we're taking what I've learned from the last 5 years and bringing it into a strategy audit session for an artist who just moved to Nashville 2 months ago. This is Rachel Rose. She's already decided she wants to stay independent, so she'll be heavily relying on organic content to make it. And she's got goals of touring beyond Tennessee and Kentucky, where she's from, in 3 years, and she'd like to have a hit of some scale in 5 years. This is a high-stakes content coaching session. Everyone I do is high stakes because if she can't connect with you through content, not only will she not reach the goal she has for herself, but her message may never reach you. You, the audience, has the choice of deciding whether she has a message that is honest, compelling. It's my job to help her and find and shape that message. Then build a platform with content around those ideas. Let us know how you think we did in the comments. So tell me a little bit about where you're at as an artist, where you're literally at, where are you living? Because it's not Nashville, correct?
No, I just moved to Nashville.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. When did you do that?
Like a few weeks ago.
Okay, nice. What inspired that move, or like, why did you feel like that was important?
So I had been traveling like back and forth to get to gigs for probably 4 months. It had been probably like a 4 or so hour drive, 4 to 5 hours, depending on where I was coming from. And I wanted to do that while we were looking so that I could be certain about the decision. Because it's like if I'm working this hard, like in between work and everything, to get down here for, multiple shows a month for, a few months, then I don't know, it's just added to like my value of being here, because I knew a lot of people who had gotten burnt out and didn't want to be here anymore. So I wanted to come in valuing it more. And so we've now been here 2 months, now that I think back on the exact date.
It's flown by.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So I think you talked about this in a piece of content I saw. You were driving, and then you just said you were driving 4 hours. Was that one way?
4 hours one way. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's some commitment to getting up here. What fascinates me about, being able to do some of this brand positioning and content strategy stuff with artists is just like hearing your heart. I mean, there's obviously something inside of you that you just feel that is burning to get out. Mm-hmm. You have a mission that is, inspiring you to do really hard things, like drive 4 hours one way for a small little gig. I've been to, I booked one and managed one of these, so it's not some like you're not like coming up here to like make money even. It's you're just getting up for the opportunity to like play in front of some people. And so what, like, if you could identify that one thing or a handful of things, like what is that? What do you have to say that like is just burning to get out?
I think that it comes back to feeling like that there's a lot of experiences and wisdom that I've had and that has happened like through my family stories and things, that I feel like there's people out there who could benefit and be saved heartache, or know that they're not alone through it, or gain some advice and comfort or truth through it. I think that the most concise way that I've heard my mission like expressed since I've gotten up here is Lee Rascone said, don't write songs to make music, write songs to save somebody's soul. And I think that resonates with me as like a believer and as a Christian for sure. But then I think it's also that sometimes you save someone's soul through like them knowing that they're seen, or that they're not the only one going through something, or that there's advice or there's hope on the other end too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what's so powerful to me about like the Christian story arc, if you look at what happened when Jesus came, it's just redemption. Like it's restoration. It's a closing of a journey and like the start of something new. Mm-hmm. Is that something you want to see done in people's lives? Is that?
Sometimes that happens. I have some songs that are about like my dad's journey to sobriety, but sometimes it's that they walk away, like newness is kind of relative. Sometimes it's just they walk away with a new sense of knowing that they're not the only one. Sometimes they walk away from the song with a new sense of like, I never thought about it from that perspective. Or sometimes they walk away with like a new sense of, maybe I do have the strength to get through this hard time.
Yeah. Can you speak to some of those hard times? I mean, you mentioned dad's sobriety. Is there anything that you'd feel comfortable sharing that, like, what are some of the hard things that you've experienced that you feel like you've come out on the other side from, or healed from, or?
A lot. I mean, it's easier in a song than to talk about.
I love that.
But, like, I have songs that are about what it was like growing up. My parents came from nothing and really worked hard to try to provide, like, things for me that they didn't have. And there's a lot of weight that comes with that. You feel incredibly blessed to, like, be a part of that journey with them, but, like, there's also a lot of heaviness that you, like, a pressure you put on yourself. You don't want to waste opportunity, and I'm a first generation graduate, so it's like you're carrying all these dreams and things from like generations and generations before you that on your back. And I mean, like, my family lines go back to Georgia clay and Kentucky farmland, and I was in school with kids that could trace their lineage back to like presidents and monarchs and academia and stuff. So that's where one of my songs came out of. Then the other one, Barstool, early in life, seeing my dad as a social alcoholic, and then find Christ and lead my family in that direction. So that came with its own dysfunction that, like, wasn't always apparent from the outside in a suburb.
When you say, you've mentioned this several times, I want people to feel comfort. I want them to feel like they're not alone. Mm-hmm. What do you not want them to feel alone in? What do you feel like you can speak to that I've been there, and you're not alone in blank?
Yeah, lots of things. So, like, I've been through financial hardship. My husband and I got married when we were students, and he sold his guns to buy me a ring. We were broke for a long, long time. We still have financial struggles, but that was rough. We were living in northern Kentucky, and that's when I wrote one of my songs, Blessed Are. It's kind of a love letter to, like, southern culture that we got to experience while we were out there living on a farm and knowing other individuals that were struggling financially too. It wasn't a wealthy area. And then I think also, like, the ups and downs of life today, I think, is very difficult in general, like everything happening in society, and like for artists too, to feel like that they can speak truth and like feel like that it's heard or received and not worry about, any repercussions like that. I think that's difficult too.
So, heard or received, like what specifically do you mean?
I think that with current events, like, that there's concerns that, expressing your beliefs may not be received well, whether that's, religious beliefs or beliefs about, just speaking out about things that artists over time have all been like pivotal in speaking out about politics or the world around us, or sharing the truths of like them growing up. You know, that I've seen that have repercussions for artists that like want to share deep stories that like are intertwined with other people's stories, other family members or other, you know, individuals, and trying to navigate that in like a way that's true to their, I guess, brand archetype. For the rebel, maybe the rebel doesn't care as much, but I think for some of us other ones, you know, we care. Yeah.
So maybe you said this, but did you grow up in Kentucky?
I grew up in like northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area.
Can you paint the picture of like what was it like to grow up in that area?
So like I grew up on 8 acres of like farmland, and not farmland, but like woodland. And it was interesting coming here feeling like I'm a horse girl and I'm a cow girl, and I grew up writing songs up in my dad's deer stand, and kind of thinking that the way that Nashville looks when you first come here, that like that's everyone else, and then you get here and it's like actually not. We are all dressed the same, but not all of us like are coming from the same experience in like the country genre.
No.
So
yeah, there are a lot of it's funny, I'm about to post a piece of content today about that. I book and manage one of the only, I think it's the only weekly pop showcase here in town. And I mean, one of the reasons I started that was just because I was people were coming into my circle that weren't country artists and didn't really have opportunities to perform here in town. The idea is that like this is a country town. I mean, I think when you look around, it's becoming a really, in some areas, bougie, built up city. You know, doesn't really give country vibes. You would know more about that than any of us. I grew up in California. I have family that lives in Ohio. Their house borders a cornfield.
Aww.
I have pictures in my mind of what that looks like, but I think more importantly, like what sort of values or like what how do you feel like that formed you growing up in that area?
Oh yeah. Well, my dad is like the pastor of a small church that's like in a rural community, and so I got to see like a lot of the work ethic that comes from that area of like hard work. And I think what a lot of people maybe don't associate with more rural areas is like an openness and like a down-to-earthness to like open to people to come in, like a welcoming nature, that even if we didn't look like them, that like we still could welcome them into our church. And like our church was diverse. We had people that would come from the city and would come from the country, because kind of that area is a mixture of like the two. Like you can go 30 minutes and be in a downtown, or you can go 30 minutes and be in the middle of, you know, a cornfield. So it's pretty cool, like getting to see all those worlds like collide.
You mentioned that what you experienced growing up feels counter maybe to what you hear. Do you feel like that's accurate, what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the openness and down-to-earthness, the welcoming nature. Do you feel like that's counter to maybe a narrative that's widely accepted?
I don't know about widely. I think that there, and I'm not saying that the other side like isn't there in that area too. Like, I mean, because like our community was so welcoming, I think that like that's why we'd be targeted by like, we'd get KKK flyers and stuff. And it's
really,
yeah, and it's because like our church was a melting pot. Like, it's not because I think what drives hate is like the idea that people are like getting together and like creating community that is, you know, coming together more so than just one side or the other. it's the scariest thing is the idea that like people are finding common ground on something like Christ, which is what was happening in our church.
Yeah.
But I just say like that maybe that's not what people think of for rural communities, because other people have experienced, racism and division in rural communities. And I don't want to say that's not how it is. Just saying that like our church was a unique slice of heaven where it was very diverse.
Do you feel like with your artist project and the platform that you're building, you want to point people to that slice of heaven, as you called it, or like show a vision of what things can be, of what like redemption and wholeness can look like? Yeah, I think that I find a hard time, like I don't really it's hard to identify with everything that I see in one space, which is like why I came up with like country, indie, soul, is because like I don't like see all of me in any one space. I see reflections of like I don't feel like I identify entirely with everything that happens in CCM, like contemporary Christian music, but I don't feel like I identify in my music with everything that happens or is represented in like just the country genre. Like I feel like there's room for growth in like those areas. That's really awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like a central idea that you seem to gravitate towards in your music? Is there one that you can speak to? Yeah, like truth and wisdom and like authentic storytelling. That's what I love about country music. I grew up with like diverse genres growing up, so 90s country, grew up with soul and R&B and oldies and blues, jazz, everything that I think contributes to each other. Now, I think we're starting to understand more of the history behind like all of those genres and see how they all connect and overlap. And that's how I grew up. And I think that like central to it though is the authentic storytelling. I try not to write about things that I don't know about and that I don't have like experience with. And I think that country music fans in particular are hungry for artists that have firsthand experience that like aren't strictly coming from a place of like a think tank of writers, that are coming from personal experience. This content format I'm trying to find essentially speaks to like, like guys like, I don't know what genre this is, but so, essentially like here it is. I just think that's kind of what it's going to take moving forward. I've definitely talked about this on one of these audits before, but what country music has kind of become and still where it's at right now commercially is it's like centered around country radio. And to be successful on country radio, you need to have like a broad appeal, like you can't really have you can't say, I don't think like say something super specific or sound super specific, because it has to appeal to like a broad audience of however many people can't, they're not choosing the song, so it just kind of has to be good enough so that they stay on the radio station and they can sell ad space. But I feel like if you want to step into the future, people are the playlists they're making go from pop to R&B to soul to country to maybe even like Christian, and it's just a melting pot of sounds and production styles. And I think like people are going to be able to find exactly what they like, what like a dash of country, this percentage of indie, that percentage of soul, like that's the right mix. I love the way Rachel Rose sounds, like you're hope so. I believe that every artist has an audience that already exists for them. They just need to find them, you know?
Yeah, I have not found my people yet. I'm still looking for them.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, hopefully this can be helpful towards that end. One thing I wanted to bring up that I saw you did a content bit about was the idea that the cows don't care. Do you want to expound on that?
Oh, yeah, like, so I have a horse, and I've lived around livestock, and a phrase that we have in the rural communities is that the cows don't care. And it's something that we use to kind of like encourage ourselves on the days when we're sick or when we're busy or we're tired, but we still have to get the care of the animals taken care of. It just means that, like, regardless of what you're going through, that, like, the cows don't care. They still get hungry on the same schedule. They still have to eat every day. They still have to be milked. They still have to be taken in and out of pasture for horses. You know, all of those things still have to happen on a daily basis, on rotation, regardless of what you're going through. And when you understand, like, that codependence that you have with yourself and with another living creature, and that, you know, you don't get whatever is the benefit out of that animal if you don't take care of them, and that it's not their job to care about what you're going through, I think it creates a lot of drive and a lot of self-sacrifice. And I think that's why I'm someone that believes that every person before they graduate high school should work in the service industry, should work on a farm, and should work in retail. I think that those are three areas that, like, are so important in society, that, like, keep every day going, that a lot of us didn't realize until COVID hit. And we started to see, like, wow, like, these are really important areas that are really overlooked, and we would be in a horrible place without them. It's like, I started working in retail in high school, and I learned so much, just so much about caring for others, and, like, folding up clothes after I get done trying them on in a store and putting them back nicely and all of that.
Yep. You learned caring for others. What else do you feel like you learned?
Caring for others, and you know, taking care of items in a store, you know, returning them to where they go, being mindful of people who are working to serve the public in those kinds of places, in food service and retail. And I learned a lot of professionalism that, like, I'm grateful for in music now too.
Yeah,
a lot of behaviors that, you know, we could have in this space, especially when we're overworked and we're overrun. When you've been in, like, a retail space where, like, you're disposable and you could lose your job like that, you know, it like gives you guardrails today. Yeah.
All right, I love that. I feel like just seeing I'm looking for, like, common threads, through lines, you know, as you talk, just kind of like one thing that's sticking out to me right now. You spoke earlier about, I try not to write about things that I don't know, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like the idea that, you know, authenticity obviously is, well, you would hope it'd be important in the country genre, but at least it is for you. What perspective do you feel like you're coming, you know, you just moved here. Like, as you're writing music, do you feel like you're pulling on, it sounds like you're pulling on a lot of different things. Like, you're pulling off maybe some experience on the 8 acres of woodland farmland in northern Kentucky. You're pulling off from, you know, like, retail work that you've done. I mean, where do you feel like that has you? Like, is it like, what are the shared truths between each one of those spaces that you're kind of processing and, like, beginning to, I don't know, I guess as you arrive into Nashville, it's like maybe it's easier to, like, see that now that you're here because it's such a different place. Are there things that you think that you'll continue to write through, common themes that you'll continue to write to or write about based on what you've experienced so far in life?
Yeah, I think that it wasn't until I got into this space where like I was doing co-writes and I was doing being disciplined about songwriting that I came to fully appreciate what it meant to have lived like all those different lives before, because I realized that I could come to the table with all these parts that felt disconnected, but that were all lending themselves to like true human emotion, true human decision making, experience, and like common things that we go through. Like, you know, when I hear Dolly's 9 to 5, like I identify with it because all of us know what it's like to be on the job every day, and it's like, and I have to get up and do it over again. Like,
yeah,
you know, like I want to write those kinds of stories that like someone can hear, and we can be on opposite ends of the country and we still get it. Like, even, you know, you mentioned like there's a move away in commercial country from specifics, but I've been working with John Marks that like ran the country Spotify playlist for a while, and like one thing he says is that when you do go deep and like you do hone in on specifics, though, you end up finding that like people relate more. Like they don't have to relate to those specifics, but when they get how you felt in those specific circumstances, then like there's that connection. That's like what I'm always looking for, is like to connect with as many people as possible.
Yeah, I love that. And I love John. He was, I think he was our first guest on the podcast.
Oh, he's great.
He's been a great mentor of mine, and super thankful for him. He's such a great man.
He really is.
One example I feel like I always did to kind of like, I guess, piggyback off what he said. One example are you familiar with Haley Witters? The country artist Haley Witters?
Super familiar.
So she's a country artist from Iowa, I believe. Like the corn land. There's a lot of corn there. She calls herself a corn star. Anyways, you know, she wrote one of my favorite albums in like 2021, and they're just super specific songs about growing up in Iowa around corn, you know. Aww. And I'm a guy from California. I grew up in a very, you know, the Bay Area is a very suburban like city atmosphere. I mean, we couldn't be more different people, but they're like, I think a lot of like I don't know, just I feel like you know, just you would think, I feel like artists get pushed away from being specific or, you know, being 100% themselves because people won't be interested. I'm actually opposite. I'm very interested in like learning about what it's like to grow up in Iowa, because I haven't done that. And then second, I just start to see a lot of the like the shared humanity in the things that bring us together. Mm-hmm. And you know, I personally believe one of the things that happened here in Nashville, especially around the commercial country space, is like, I love what you said about what drives hate. That's people getting together, finding common ground, and, you know, doing that by being authentic. And I think that like, you know, like the idea is that you have to write to a formula maybe, or that you need to, I don't know, to like all sound the same to make that happen. But I really want to encourage artists to move in the opposite direction, because I feel like when you're authentic and you're honest and your humanity comes out, that's what really will connect you with some kid who grew up in California, who hasn't spent a second on a farm, you know?
Absolutely.
But can still find something incredibly valuable in your music. I feel like we've got some good ideas here that we can write content to. One thing that was really interesting about checking out your socials before our call was you've kind of done some of the stuff that I will do today, and like I try to do with my clients. That is, I feel like you've seen videos that you liked, and you try to kind of recreate them in your way. I call those content formats. So if you're looking at a video that you enjoyed, how would I reverse engineer that? How many clips do I need to take? What should the headlines look like? One in particular that you did was, you did a quote text format that was, my ex, quote text, that song you wrote makes me look like trash. Me. Oh. Now I could have said, and then it was your lyrics.
Oh no, it was.
Do you remember doing that?
It was.
Or was it a sound?
It was a sound bite. It was from an interview that like Ariana Grande did forever ago, where she is like, I could have said that, but I didn't. I could have said like, wrote some songs about Ricky. Never mind now they're trash, or something like that.
Yeah.
She's like, but I didn't. Instead, I said, now I listen and laugh because it didn't work out.
Yeah. So I mean, but what you're doing there is you're kind of, that's like a pretty common format of setting up some sort of underlying audio with a quote text.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So saying something, and it doesn't have to be your ex. It doesn't have to be me, like I referenced earlier. It could just be them, some generic them, colon, quote text. And you just set up whatever message you want to set up. It could be an audio, like a trending audio like you used, or your own music, like the lyrics in your song. So I only say all that to say, like, I feel like you already inherently understand kind of like my approach to what I do a lot of times with clients.
Do you know what's hard for me is like I'll see a trend and it's hard for me to think of something in that trend. I'm more inspired like the backwards way, where like I was inspired by that audio and then I figured out how to fit it in a trend. But like sometimes if I just see the trend, I don't get anything. But if I think of a lyric or like a life thing, and then I try to fit it into a trend. And sometimes I'm behind because it's already passed. But like, because like I have one sitting in my drafts right now that's like unfortunately I do like all these things, and like I don't even see
That's
those.
a trending sound?
Okay. No, it's like, to list out all these like slightly toxic things that you like. It's like, unfortunately, I do like, one girl was like overpriced coffee drinks and, shopping, retail therapy or whatever. And I feel like I don't see those anymore, but I still am going to post it because it's just sitting in my drafts.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and maybe this will be helpful, it also kind of speak to a way that I try to create content strategy, and that is that style of content that you're talking about is what I would call audience connection content. It's just content maybe that you enjoyed, that you feel like someone like you or a fan of yours would also enjoy. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to grow general awareness of who you are through the content. But I think what you'll really need to do with your music and also with more brand-centric content is you want to identify, you want to carve out a space on the internet with your platform, a space that's pretty well defined. It's like, this is who I am, this is who I'm not. That it's I've worked with a branding guy. We did an episode with him here on the podcast. One thing he'll say is like, when you're walking down the bread aisle, you don't really have to negotiate with the bread about like which one is the healthy one, it kind of screams at you, like through the branding, through what's the way that the copy's written, through how it looks.
Yeah.
Even just on the packaging, you have to see the bread, that I am the healthy bread. So like what are you trying to, what is that simple, accessible, not necessarily simple, but just like, I think concise maybe is a better word. What is that like consumable and accessible idea or set of ideas that you're trying to communicate? And these are questions that you can continue to answer as you develop content strategy. But I think when you have a strong understanding of what that is, you'll see a trending sound and you'll immediately think of how you can plug your brand into that trending sound. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of like content creation is about the preparation work, especially the brand positioning work that you should do as an artist to really understand, all right, this is where I'm at right now, and maybe for this release cycle over the next year. If you look at someone like Taylor Swift, you know, her brand evolves and changes and shifts, but she commits to an era, mm-hmm. you know, and I mean the eras that because a tour, you know, those eras are well defined. Like she put boundaries around that era and what that was, creatively, visually. And the message that she was trying to communicate. I mean, a song from Lover to Reputation they're very different ideas and things that she's communicating. Both very authentic, both very herself, but very different. And I think that being able to like sit in especially once you've created a body of work that you're looking to put out, whether it's an EP or an album or something. All right, what are the through lines that I'm seeing in this album? What are the values and ideas that I want to communicate in this season? And really just hammering that through the content. Yeah,
that makes sense.
All right, I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is a dashboard, like a client portal that I use with my clients. You know, after looking at your socials and what you shared in the preparation, the branding prompts, and some of your goals, I just identified. I forgot to mention the brand archetype quiz that you took. So these formats are all I have a database of around 600 content formats.
Wow.
They're each tagged with 3 brand archetypes each.
Oh, okay.
So all these brand archetypes come from a list of content formats that are tagged with one of your 3 brand archetypes. So the top one, do you remember what it was?
It was a sage.
Right. And a sage is a seeker of knowledge and wisdom and believes that truth will set you free. They prefer to empower others to do so by seeking out valuable information and sharing it. Their desire is to find truth, the idea that truth will set you free. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your second top archetype, so top was sage, second was lover. The lover brands are often sensual and empathetic, motivated to become more emotionally and physically appealing to their audience. That's probably not what you were going for. This is what I would identify as your angle on that archetype is like a desire, I think, for intimacy or just closeness.
Yeah, the empathy for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely empathetic.
Maybe the idea that love makes the world go around. Mm-hmm. To step in the direction of love. I mean, that's kind of what you were speaking about that's the opposite of what you were talking about with what drives hate, you know?
Yeah.
Like people are getting together, people are finding common ground. That's the opposite of that's what triggers, you know, a lot of hateful reactions around the world, as you experienced in your life. So anyways, say all that to say, like, one thing I found when I was working with artists, or what I found over the years, is like, you know, artists would be creating content kind of aimlessly, with limited guidance, and would start creating content that just like they felt like they had to create, mm-hmm. That didn't feel like them.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to, my answer to that has been to use these brand archetypes to at least position an artist in their initial step forward, at least when I create content strategy with an artist, in their initial step forward, to have a list of ideas that feel like them, you know, mm-hmm. or they're kind of like the character that they're portraying, or the the I don't know, the space they're trying to fill with their brand as an artist. So say all that to say, these are all content formats that have come from a list based on your brand archetypes. The third one was innocent. So these formats represent the sage, the lover, the innocent. So I just kind of want to go through a couple of these and try to find a couple that we can write to, and fill in like some of your brand messaging into these formats or templates, content formats or templates.
Yeah.
So here's the first one. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier. The artist, he intros with, "No one wants to hear an old geezer singing soul songs." And then he goes, "Also me," and he goes into like the lyrics of his song.
That's a good one.
But what's cool about that is like you don't have to say old geezer, you know? You can say, no one wants to hear blank. Who are you? You know, like no one wants to hear.
Well, like living in Nashville, it often feels like nobody wants to hear another cowgirl song, another country song, it feels like a very saturated market. But then here I am, still hoping to bring something new.
So you feel like something that's authentic to you is the idea that no one wants to hear another song about blank.
I don't know, country living or bar stools. I'm trying to think through my song topics and how they feel. Like you know, the initial thought is like, dang, like that is that like guys, like love. No one wants to hear another love song. No one wants to hear another cowgirl song. No one wants to.
So you're doing that. You're doing it.
Okay.
Like this is exactly what I seek to do with the way that I approach creating content. You create it. I've heard it called a template. I love that word.
Yeah.
I've called them content formats.
Yeah.
But you templatize these existing content formats that have already proven themselves. You're not starting at square one. This is a content format that this artist has already found success with. And you're basically taking it and making it yours, you know? There's an element of humor in the way that he approached it. And I think the same with you. Like, no one wants to hear another song about bar stools. But you know, in country music, you would probably think, oh, this is a rager party song. But I'm assuming that's not. Barstools is about your dad's journey to sobriety, right? Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a unique twist that like people would find interesting in a piece of content. So I don't know. I feel like this would be like a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. That's really good.
Cool. All right, let's schedule that one. Here's a video that I recently added to the database. She's listening to the lyrics of her song, and she's saying, "Only those who deeply yearn can hear this song." So maybe the template here. How would you kind of templatize that headline?
The song called American Beauties, you know, only those who have been raised by those who came from nothing can understand this song, or only those, like a lot of songs I think I like to appeal to people who think deeply, so only those who think deeply or feel deeply, or those who have been in love before. Who seek truth can hear this song. Yeah, can truly hear this song.
Perfect.
Okay.
You did it. I mean, that's exactly what I would have done. Only those you identified what where I would have inserted your brand or your message. So you kind of take only those who blank, feel deeply, been in love before, seek truth. And then fill that blank in, and then finish off with "can truly hear this song." So, again, I mean that you had a bunch of ideas flow out. I mean, one of the things I said a lot in the last episode, or the last content edit that I did was, you know, what always is striking to me about creating content strategy with artists is like, this stuff is like already inside of you guys, you know?
Yeah.
What you need to be successful on social media is already there. It's just about, I think, structuring it, organizing it, filling it into these templates, really, like you guys already know what to say, what you want to say. It's just like finding a way, I think, that is compelling or accessible to an audience online.
Yeah. It's been difficult, and I don't know if you have any tips for this, and it might just be that I just got here, but it feels like that the engagement, like from my videos, tends to be from like other songwriters, and I love that. But I would also love to like it to be people who like music, who don't play music, who could like evolve into fans.
Yeah, that's a really common thing that happens with artists. I have an idea for that, and we will get to that here in a second.
Okay.
But let's find a what's coming next, and this will kind of speak to what you just asked about. What's coming next is creating a content mix around three content pillars that I like to create content strategy with. Content. The first pillar is music content. These are just competitive ways to get your music in front of new people, or your existing following on TikTok especially. The second one is brand content. So like I referenced this earlier, but clearly defining who you are and who you're not. Like carving out a space on the internet. I don't do as much of this content, but I think it's important to sometimes just say who you are, what space you're looking to inhabit on the internet, especially in this season, with the type of music that you're putting out. So if you want to talk about sobriety or achieving sobriety or something like that, or being the daughter or child of someone that's gone through that journey, there's literally probably millions of people that have shared that experience. So just telling them, hey, I'm a space for that,
Yeah.
So that's the second pillar. And then the third one is audience connection content. And it's interesting because I feel like I see a lot of artists, and I'm not saying that you've done this, I don't know if you have or not, but they'll do like music industry content, content that's literally addressed to the music industry. And I think that is one downside, especially as you're new here to Nashville. Just something to remember is like, this is not where your fans live. You're looking to connect with people outside of this town. Honestly, the people that are back in northern Kentucky, southern Ohio. Yeah. So what kind of, with the audience connection content, what sort of content do they want to see? Would that fan want to see? Don't be thinking about what a label executive wants to see or what one of your friends wants to see, or, again, not saying that you're doing this, but just I think like creating content that that's value driven, that educates, entertains, inspires, or relates to your intended audience. Your audience back home.
The bummer is that I feel like the communities that I come from don't spend a ton of time on social media.
Right.
Because they're working with their hands all day. So that's part of why I know I do have to get a bigger Spotify catalog going. But any advice that you have for addressing a market that may not be as social media savvy as a urban community, may be more social media oriented?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that, especially for the next generation, I'd find it hard to believe if people weren't spending no time on the internet. I'm sure people, the average person is spending some amount of time on social media or consuming some element of content. So it's really just I think being so effective with the messaging, and the way that you and just creating really good content.
Yeah.
Content that really pierces through and connects with that person in maybe the 20 minutes
Yeah.
that they are on their phone, rather than, you know, maybe someone here in town who's on it an embarrassing amount, like myself. So that, I don't know, that's what I would say to that. I also, you're right. I mean, you know, if you're looking to connect with a very rural audience, I think like there are other ways to connect with those people. You know, and I know this is one of your goals that you'd shared, but like touring, I think is really important. And that's, I know, something that you're building towards. You're playing a lot of shows. You're putting in your 10,000 hours to like be just a really good performer. And like that's, you know, it's tough for you guys because you have to be good now at like so many different things.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that in the future, maybe with the audience that you're going for, like that's just what it's going to take, you know, is putting in those hours of performance.
For sure.
But for the people that are on their phones, let's try to find. I've brought up this. Maybe we can take a look at this content format. You choose what you see in this world. Look for the good, the beautiful, the heavenly, and that is what you will see. The way I would look to insert your brand into this is, you choose what you see in this world, blank, blank, and blank, and that is what you will see. You choose to see what you choose what you see in this world. What are some of the elements, the ideas that are important to you?
I feel like that where I come from, that a lot of people look at people from, whether it's, you know, the urban communities that I've been in, the suburban or the rural, it's that there's people that are forgotten. Like if you want to walk past a homeless person and see like someone that should be disposable or discarded, then that's what you'll see. But if you want to look at a life and see like the value that it has and see the potential that it has, if you want to, you choose what you see in the world. If you want to see potential, if you want to see hope, if you want to see love or warmth, like that's what you'll see.
And we can clean some of that up too, but perfect. I mean, I feel like that speaks to, you could also write this as like, you choose what you see in the world, people finding common ground, people getting together, people dispelling hate through community.
Yeah, common ground. That's a good one. Hope,
common ground, warmth. I did like that. I really liked that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
This is a brand defining format because it's identifying your platform as a space that sees hope, common ground, and warmth.
Yeah.
And we want people that are interested in that to like find your platform, to connect with you,
yeah,
to follow you. And I think like too, like especially in country music, you know, like if you're giving context on who you are as a storyteller, like if country music is storytelling, then like why should I trust this storyteller? Or what about this storyteller shows that they, I don't know, share my worldview or are authentic at least,
yeah,
or just honest, you know?
Yeah.
All right, the last one we'll find one here is audience and audience connection content piece. So this content piece says, when this intro starts playing and I have exactly 45 seconds to decide whether I want to feel every feeling I've ever felt. The reason I've identified this as an audience connection piece of content is because it's not necessarily going to be your music. It's more about just finding people that you referenced 9 to 5 earlier, you know, like people, you know, if you want to write songs that are similar to 9 to 5, you want to find people that are interested in that type of song. And so I feel like this piece of content connects you with that person.
Yeah.
Is there a song that you can think of that maybe has an identifiable intro?
Think about the beginning of Make Me Wanna by Thomas Rhett.
Okay, when Make Me Wanna starts playing, and I have exactly 45 seconds to decide, what does that song speak to for you?
I like that it's kind of like nostalgic, and it like feels like falling in love. Like it feels like kind of like how that's a roller coaster and your stomach feels like has butterflies. Like that's kind of what the intro reminds me of, because it's kind of like got these high notes of like a finger picking.
Yeah. So 45 seconds, it would be whatever amount of seconds that intro is. Start playing, and I have exactly blank seconds of that intro to decide whether or not I want to feel high school love butterflies.
Yeah, that's it.
So like something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, easy as that. We've got one format at least for each pillar. I've kind of, explained these formats. I try to create content depending on the release cycle. So if you're in release cycle, we're doing more music content. If we're out of release cycle, we're connecting with the audience that would like that music. So we swing one way or the other, generally speaking. I think this is a release cycle. This is set up for a release cycle. So 40%, I try to get clients to post at least 20 times a month. So that's 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So eight of the content pieces are music content. 4 of them are brand content. That's 20%. And then the remaining 40% or 8 videos is audience connection content. That actually might be an out of release cycle. But I would confirm that with you. And also I think each client has a preference on this. But do you feel like you understand the importance of or at least why I've chosen these 3 pillars?
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You said that when you're not in a release cycle, to focus on the brand and audience content, brand content and
Yes.
audience connection.
Yeah, you're really just trying to grow your platform, I think, at that point. And if I do a lot of audience connection content that has artist content underneath it. But I think it's with the music content, you're kind of pointing people towards the music, like you did with this format where it was like, no one wants to hear another song about bar stools. You're pointing to the lyrics of the song. But audience connection content is more just about maybe like a shared idea that you have with another set of people,
Yeah, that makes sense.
What I'd kind of like to review in our last couple minutes here are just some of the best practices that I recommend to clients. One of the most underrated things, I think, and most overlooked things in the content sphere with artists is content engagement. Is like engaging on your platform. So you get all the way to posting your content and you're like, and you post and you just close the app. I try to, and it doesn't have to be at the same time that you post, but at least once a day, spending 15 minutes engaging and connecting with that audience. Hopefully down the road, it's like people commenting on and you're responding to them and engaging with them that way. But I think start with, it's discovering new accounts to follow. So following, it doesn't have to necessarily be like someone follow for a follow type of try to find fans and get them to follow you. That it's more about showing the algorithm, all right, this is the type of account that this is. I'm connecting with other country artists or artists that I like, or maybe lifestyle influencers in my space, stuff like that, just to show them okay, this is the type of account that Rachel Rose is, and this is the type of person I should be pushing her content to. The other is to engage with 5 to 10 regulars, even if they're just friends right now. That obviously means responding to comments on your content, but also going to their content and commenting and engaging. And then posting to your stories. One thing I really feel like Instagram is the best space for an artist to grow a platform right now. The reason for that is because it supports kind of a natural funnel where you can create general awareness for yourself and your brand and funnel that general awareness down into a space that you own. So you can go from reels to posts and stories to the broadcast channel. And the broadcast channel is somewhere that you can text, like when you have a song come out, that you can access those people and you can essentially DM them directly with a song link or telling them that the song's out. And I feel like the place to recruit people to that broadcast channel is in your stories. And you're not going to get people to watch your stories unless you're posting to them regularly and they're engaging, and not just like something that you're trying to sell, like a show poster or, it's something about something just casual. And this is the latte I drank, or this is the outfit I'm wearing, or, just kind of like passive stuff that you can capture along your journey as a artist.
Okay.
All right. Something I want to share with you specifically is one thing that I run into with a lot of artists is their heart is to like, well, if they want this content or this song, like I want to give them enough to like kind of satiate their desire for it. Say they only want 15 seconds of the song, I'm going to give them 30 just in case.
Yeah.
I think the way that the content world works best is that you give them actually less than you think they'll want. So you want people watching through the end of the videos. The way that reach is calculated, especially on TikTok, but also on Instagram, is what percentage of the people did finish the video, or what percentage of the videos watched. So the greater the percentage, the more your videos will get pushed out. So anywhere you can, trim the fat of the video. I think I saw a format that you did that was like, if you like this type of music, then maybe you'll like this. Do you remember posting something like that? So I've done that format, and I think the way to find success with that format is just giving them just enough that they know which artist you're talking about.
Okay.
So it's probably only like 2 or 3 seconds, but you're on to the next thing. So yeah, maybe the idea there is like trimming the fat of videos, just getting them really lean and concise.
Yeah.
The second thing is, we talked a lot about templatizing these videos, and not necessarily straying far from what the original creator did. Definitely injecting your ideas and your thoughts and brand into that template or content format. But I would extend that to, if you look at a lot of successful formats or content pieces, they don't use filters, and they use like standard fonts. And I feel like one thing that artists gravitate towards is they want to express aesthetic. They want to like share like a visual aesthetic that's kind of unique to them. And that's, I think, important in certain areas in your artist career, but not in the content world. And the reason I believe that is because I think ideas are more important than aesthetics. That's what cuts through on algorithms. Is the idea compelling enough? Is it accessible and easy to understand? You have to know that, like when someone's scrolling, they come across a video of yours, and you have milliseconds really to like capture their attention. Mm-hmm. And if it looks kind of funky or different than what they're used to seeing, they're probably going to continue to swipe. I think what people want is they want to connect with a compelling idea, and they want that formatted in a standard way. So just using standard fonts and sticking to basic things like just well-lit video that's with clear audio. And in general, rule of thumb is like, if you're templatizing a format or a content piece that you're essentially trying to recreate, there's a reason that that format was successful. And just sticking to trying to reverse engineer it in as detailed a way as possible. So down to like, all right, this content piece is 5 clips. Each clip was 2 seconds. They used this style of font. It was this many lines. Like, get as detailed as possible with recreating that. And remember that, like, I don't think the originality that people are looking at or looking for from a video is the way it looks, but the idea that it's expressed. So if you're expressing a unique idea that comes from your brand position, then that's what they'll connect with, I think, really. Mm-hmm. So anyways, just wanted to share that. That's about it. Did you have any questions?
Oh, this has just been so helpful. And is there anything that, like, us artists that have received this super helpful feedback can do to help you guys in your business, to like promote you guys or to build up your business?
Well, that's really kind of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I honestly I feel like this space is more just about me serving you guys and, finding a way to, that's just kind of my goal, I think, in this space at least. Like, I think, the Stay Independent podcast is about tangible, actionable ways to grow independent artist careers.
Yeah.
And, if you found this useful, check out some of the other episodes. We have interviews with other people like John Marks that you referenced in this call, a branding expert that I referenced. I think there's just really valuable things that they have to share that have influenced the way that I approach building content strategy and maybe helpful to you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So